Pastorick, Mr. Seifert,
Present.
Mr. Williams,
Present.
Ms. Shamnoff, present, Mr. Freistoffer,
Present.
and Mr. Moss. Okay. So we have a quorum.
Okay. Then I'll entertain a motion that we adopt the agenda as distributed. So moved. And a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay. Okay. Unless there's objection, I'd like to group the minutes, the approval of the minutes of the regular session of August 28th, 2025, the minutes of the executive session of August 28th, 2025, and the minutes of approval of claims September 11th, 2025.
So moved.
And a second, please.
Second.
Thanks, Tom. Any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay. Let's move to the financial report.
Thank you, Ben. This month, we do have a few lines that are spending ahead of schedule. The first one is other professional services, and those costs are directly related to the F&P. And actually, the next four are from previous reports, so I can go through those fairly quickly. Legal services were from the July report. Computer equipment was from the April report. And training and landscaping, snow removal services were both from the February report. But as we get, more into the year, we're going to have a few more of those lines. But other than those, everything else is spending exactly where they should be for the year.
Thank you. Any questions on the financial report for August?
I do have one more thing I wanted to
Sure.
add on there. The 2026 net assessed values did come in. They were finally released, and it does show a 4.34% growth from 2025. And then Susan and I, along with Jeff Quackenbush from Barnes & Thornburg, presented the library's 2026 budget to the City Council, and based on feedback we received, we will be discussing some amendments to that in new business.
Okay. Any questions? Let's move to the financial report for August 20. Oh, can I have a motion to approve the financial report?
So moved.
And a second. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed by nay. Let's move then to the approval of the claims.
Okay, today we have a fairly smaller run. Total of claims is $357,000, and large claim today is just a little over $96,000 related to the F&P Phase 1. And next one is for insurance quarterly, and that's a little over $74,000.
Any questions of the claims? We'll circulate them. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. Second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Let's move to committee reports, capital projects.
All right. I'm going to give this fairly brief committee report for the facility master plan. I think, as we all know, we have hired our architect in the plan, and right now we're in the middle of our listening sessions, as we are calling them. So the architects have been here, have been to meetings at Beloit, New Haven, and Shawnee, or that's coming up. That was this week. Then I believe next week we're going to have also listening sessions at DuPont, Georgetown, and Hessen Castle. We have tried to get that out on social media as much as we can, to get notice out to our patrons, our users of the library. So all those that are interested will come in. Not just the listening sessions, there are also, I guess we're calling boards or some kind of
Engagement boards.
Engagement boards at each of those branches as well, so people can provide their input to us that way. This is in addition to all the other listening sessions, all the other planning we've done in the past as we were developing the facility, developing our plan. This is for the architects and us to hear directly from people now as we actually formulate our plans and the new buildings and the renovations that we're doing. All of that information is on our website, and also we are promulgating it with social media. However, if you got any questions, feel free to call also as well. We wanted you to be engaged, so please, to the extent you are listening, or let other people know, please be engaged. Go to the branches, let us know what you're thinking. That's our report.
Marty,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Marty, if I might add, I was at the one at New Haven last night, and it was really a nice coincidence. We also had at the New Haven branch a homeowners association meeting at the same time. So after their meeting, they were able to come out and engage with the design team and offer their feedback. And then this morning, the design team was at the Appointing branch. It also happened to be baby story time. So what a perfect time to get feedback from that audience. So we've been really grateful and pleased with the feedback we're getting so far and the response that we're getting. And if people want to go to our website or to our Facebook page, they can get the exact dates and times for the future ones that we're doing. And again, those boards are up for about a week afterwards once the design team makes those appearances.
All right, great. Any other questions anyone has? And that is
Okay.
my report.
Thank you, Marty. Now we have item 7, access to patron records policy review of draft.
Thank you, Ben, and Ted will help me out with this, and we'll probably group 7 and 8 together. And this afternoon, I am actually not requesting that we take a vote tonight. My recommendation is that you not take a vote tonight, but rather that we introduce the topic and we give a little background and context as to why we're bringing it up. You offer us any preliminary questions or any requests for any additional research, and then we reintroduce it at a future meeting, maybe next month or the month afterwards, for a final vote. But in your packet are 2 draft policies, and I want to give credit to our recently left Chief Operating Officer, Kim Bolin, who worked really hard on these before she left for a new position in New York. The draft policies are access to library records and confidentiality of patron records, and these are hopefully to replace a policy that is dated 1999, so quite old, a library records policy. And the thought behind it was that the library records policy, first of all, is quite outdated and would be better served to be divided up into 2 separate policies to address these 2 areas. And Ted, do you want to add a bit about the research that you and your firm did?
Sure. I do want to say that even though the policy was dated back in 1999, it was still applicable to confidentiality of patient records. It was still applicable to any request for public documents, which the library is subject to as a public or governmental organization. The concerns that came about that the fine library staff addressed and was concerned about were twofold. Some of you may recall that commencing July 1, 2025, a new parental Bill of Rights was passed by our General Assembly. That parental Bill of Rights gave the parents, or clarified that parents had the right to information from government agencies about their minor children. The way the policy was written, that may have been confidential to parents, and so we wanted to make sure that as a governmental entity that was clarified. The second major issue was the fact that the library, like many institutions, is using apps, computer programs and things where children under the age of 18, minors, have access and can use that. So we wanted to make sure that all of those policies, or the new policies, covered the library and provided the confidentiality to patron records that they should. So the initial thought was that there would be a confidentiality policy. There were some concerns because some of the public access documents subject to the APRA Act would not be included, so we wanted to add that discretion back so the library had discretion to maintain certain records as confidential. So what we did, as Susan said, was to split the old confidentiality policy into 2 different sections. One generally covering access from public requests or subpoenas, and the other just to maintain the confidentiality of patron records. Was there anything else, Susan, that you thought would be important? We've compared it to the Access to Public Records Act. We've compared it to the old Patriot Act from the early 2000s to make sure that our policies continue to comply with law.
Right.
They do. So, yeah, I have to give credit to Kim Bolin, who did an excellent job in working with a committee of senior staff.
She did. And our access to library records, that draft policy does detail our process for receiving public records requests and how
Yes.
we work with our legal team to process those when we do receive them.
I'll make a few comments. As a lawyer on the board, I thought this was really well done. I don't know this area of the law, but I just think this seems pretty clear and it clarifies it well. My only issue or questions I have is, how do we give access to the public so they know what these policies are? And I guess, is that on our website, or how to make sure when people come in and know how to do the request correctly? How do we make sure that happens?
Once they are approved, they would be put on our website. We have a policy section on our website.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. And would also be that promulgated, I assume if people have these requests, they probably come to staff and ask them first. Does the staff know to direct them then to the website and
Yes.
how to do that? Okay.
Yes. Although I will say, when we get Public Records Act requests, my experience is many of them initially come through our Ask Library email account, ask@acpl.info.
Okay.
That tends to be, in my experience, how we most frequently receive them.
Okay.
At times, staff receives, particularly at branches, direct request. They run that up the proverbial flagpole to Susan, and then we get involved to make sure that they're using the proper form. We do have a designated form that I believe is accessible from the website for individuals to follow. So we can, as a public institution, require people to delineate what it is with reasonable certainty, what documents they're looking for using our form.
As a practical matter, how many requests have we had over the past year or 2 or 3?
They come in waves.
Okay.
I can't say I found them overwhelming. I think in general, and I'm going to look at Pete and Ted because I work with them when they come in, I would say 1 to 2 a month. Does that seem reasonable?
Yeah, I was going
Yes.
to say 10 to 15 at most.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's the subject? It's broad?
Wide
It is,
variety.
it is a wide variety.
Right.
Some are commercial in nature.
Yeah, some are fishing, some have a specific reason. We've had researchers at academic institutions
Yes.
who are conducting a research project, and they want information, and it's a legitimate purpose. We send it.
Okay.
Is there ever actually requests, I want Marty Cypher's records and what books he's taken out over the last 2 years? Do those ever come in? Did anybody actually ask that?
I don't know that we actually have received a request. Susan might know that better. However, those are one of the discretionary items that we've identified in the policy as being confidential. So those
Okay.
records should be maintained as confidential, and so we would object to providing those.
Okay.
Good answer.
For any patron, any patron, not just our board
I
of
was just using
trustees.
an example.
But we have not been asked for your records specifically, Marty, no.
There have been complaints on the number of books you've taken out.
For my wife especially.
Any other questions? Well, as Susan suggested, let this marinate for a month.
Yes.
And then we'll revisit it, which leads us to the executive director's report.
Thank you.
Constitution Day, similar topic, right? Was celebrated at ACPL on September 17th with Bells Across America, which was an annual celebration of the signing of the U.S. Constitution. A program in the main library theater featured the Bell Choir from Aldersgate Church. And September is also National Library Card Sign-Up Month, and in honor of that, ACPL cardholders can enjoy exclusive discounts and promotions from local businesses now through December 31st, 2025, by presenting their library card. And I want to give a big thanks to Chris Ford, our marketing manager, and his team for doing a lot of legwork and phone calls to secure these various discounts throughout the community. You can go on our website and find a full list of all the participating businesses. The Greater Fort Wayne Hispanic Chamber of Commerce will hold their Cuarto Huerves networking meeting tonight at the main library in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month, and will feature Esteban Coria and Allison Singleton from our staff as speakers. We had a very special guest as a speaker at our September management team meeting, Follinger Foundation CEO Sarah Stremenos. It was great to hear from her. So I was stunned, but I guess not really, at how quickly our free tickets to Steve Inskeep sold out. If free tickets can sell out, they did. within minutes when we release them. So as you are aware, Steve Inskeep is our speaker for our October 9th One County, One Book McMurtry Lecture. We released those tickets Labor Day weekend, and when we put them out to be available online, truly within minutes, they were gone. We have 230 seats in the theater. They were completely sold out within minutes. We are going to be able to offer some overflow seating in this room here where people can watch the live stream. And thankfully, Mr. Inskeep was kind enough to allow us to live stream his remarks. So you're able to watch it wherever you are in the world from our YouTube page. We were able to have a Teams call with Mr. Inskeep earlier in the week. Aja, Kurt, and Leanne were on the call with me just to do some logistical planning, and he was just delightful and charming, and he was truly seemed very touched that we picked his book for this kind of countywide reading campaign. As you probably know, he is a native to Indiana and just seems really, really excited about coming to visit and being involved in the community in this way. And he asked, and he was just very humble when he asked, "Are people reading my book?" And we assured him, yes, Mr. Inskeep, people are reading your book, and there's even a long list of people waiting to get your book. So it was just very, very fun to talk to him, and we can't wait to host him. All of our locations will be closed September 30th for our annual Staff Development Day, and we thank you for your continued support to allow us to hold this annual day of learning and team building for our staff. The format this year is going to be a little different. We're spending the morning together at the Pearl Arts Center, where we have Michelle Gladio is going to be our keynote speaker, and then I am hosting a panel, and I'm really excited about this. So we have the executive director of the Fort Wayne Zoo, we have the marketing manager for the Comets, and we have Joe Jordan of the Fort Wayne Boys and Girls Club, and I am hosting them on a panel on creating customer experiences that keep people coming back for more. And then after a break, branches and departments are going to go off on their own. They're either going to come back here to the main library or go to their home location or go to an off-site location to have their own department meetings and trainings. We hear from our branches and departments that it's so hard to have that off-public, off-desk time to have those kinds of time together and staff meetings, so they were really looking to do that as part of staff training days. So we kind of see this format as the best of both worlds, that we'll all be together, all 360 of us in the morning, and then they'll have that team building as a group in the afternoon. So I'm looking forward to report back on how that format works. And I have a few other late-breaking news that didn't make the written report. You may have seen in the news that there's been some changes regarding voting in Allen County and going to countywide voting centers. And historically, we've had several branches that have been polling locations throughout the county. With these changes, now our only voting location will be Monroeville. They will be a countywide voting center. So we're happy to still be part of that process. Also, you may have seen in the news that, I believe it was last week, we launched our Cultural Connections website, which is a hub of resources, programs, and services for non-English speakers on our website, including connections to resources on how to learn English. And that section of our website is available in more than a dozen languages. I did want to give an update on our parking contract. As you know, we have been in talks with ABM to introduce a new gateless parking system here at the main library. We are still working with ABM as far as negotiating that contract. So at this point, I do not have a launch date to announce to the public just yet. And also, we are working on reviewing proposals for a new third-party administrator for our health insurance services, and we do hope to bring that to you in a future Finance and Personnel Committee meeting. And I will send an email out to confirm this, but we are hoping that we could possibly have another Finance and Personnel Committee meeting in advance of our October board meeting, potentially maybe an hour or so before we have our October board meeting. But I can send an email out to confirm that that would be an okay time and date for everybody. And that is all of my report. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions?
I have a few question and comments. Just, I have read the book by Steve Inskeep. It is fantastic. So if you have a chance, really try to read that. It's very, very good. I'm pretty sure I got it from the library and turned it back in. For the board members, if you haven't been to Staff Development Day, maybe it's too late, but try to go to one. I can't make this one because I'm in court all day, but unfortunately. But to the extent you ever can, try to make one because it's really worthwhile. Kind of see the whole staff together, because that almost never happens.
Right.
And then also, it's usually quite interesting and useful to hear the main speaker, if at all possible. And Susan, the last thing was just on the parking. We certainly had some concerns aired to us. I understand you're aware of those concerns and
Yes.
are working with staff to try to make sure we're doing the best we can for all people who use
Absolutely.
the library, correct?
Absolutely. We are addressing all of those concerns.
Okay. That's all I got.
Any other questions of Susan?
And it's not too late to come to staff day. You're
Okay.
welcome to. In the morning.
Okay, let's move to new business, and we have the budget as our new business item.
Correct. I have passed out new exhibits A and B, which are behind there. I shouldn't have stapled them together. And then new, just highlighted changes on that for you. But based on the feedback we received Tuesday night at County Council, we're proposing the following changes to the 2026 budget. The official budget we are proposing for the general operating fund is $41,253,904, and that represents a 3.031 increase over the 2025 budget. With a projected property tax levy of $31,685,211, which is a growth of about $846,000. We are proposing a total of $25,723,204 for salaries and wages and employee benefits, which is an increase of just a little over $660,000 from 2025. And that would include a COLA of 2%.
And what's the percentage?
What is the what percentage of what? I'm
Well,
sorry.
you're calculating salaries. Is that based on a 2%?
That's a 2% COLA.
Okay.
Yes. These changes will result in an estimated tax rate of a projected estimated tax rate of 0.1147, which compared to 2025's tax rate of 0.1165 is a decrease of 1.56%. For the debt service fund, expenses for principal, interest, and fees for 2026 will be budgeted at $4,819,895. And those will be determined, the payments and stuff will be determined when they are sold, when the bonds will be sold. And that tax rate has not changed. That's the same as what we proposed earlier at 0.0165. So the combined tax rate with both is 0.1312. And those were the only changes that we're proposing, but that is what was requested at us from City Council. And I've highlighted everything on the exhibits because we were asked to do that as well. Anybody have any questions, concerns?
Tom, if I could put you on the spot, Tom, does that reflect what you sense to be the council's wishes?
Yeah, I just think there was some confusion over that 4%, and then, our attorney, he wanted that amended for the next, meeting.
Okay.
But yeah, that looks pretty much like what we decided then, yeah.
Thank you. Yes, Marty?
I'm only going to, I was at the meeting as well, so three of us here were at that meeting. And I'm going to be in support of this change. I just want to, I think just put it on the record, my perception is, when we approved our budget, we have a 4% in there that we have as a stakeholder essentially, and we've done that virtually every year that I can really remember. And then this board typically would change that, modify it depending on information that we then receive from our staff regarding other increases, library increases, other county and city increases in Allen County. Essentially, I believe because we're under binding review, we're being requested, we wanted to have it certainty. And that certainty is a 2% COLA increase this year. So that's where we're at, and I'm going to vote in favor of that. But I think some of the board members who weren't here, I want to make sure they understand that. So instead of having the 4%, and typically we're going to modify it down to something below that, we're making that decision that it's going to be 2%.
That's correct.
Is that correct, Jill?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any,
What's the city, what is the city doing? What percentage are they applying? If they-
Towards this?
Yeah. For city employees.
Well, that kind of varies, because the county did 3%, we did 3%, but, they have unions with the public safety, and I think those are a little bit lower. I think some of them looked at this as a 4% increase overall, and someone at the table last night said it's not really 4%, it's going from last year, correct? It's just adding on.
The max levy was at 4%, and it was it was a placeholder of 4% until the board had determined what we were going to do. That's correct.
Yeah, no.
so has the city council approved the 3% for the city employees, non-union?
Not yet, no.
No. All right, any other questions, or, yes?
Just a procedural question. So if the board approves the 2% COLA, are you still going to come back to the board in November with an entire benefits package? Or does this take care of it?
No, the benefit package was coming in October, as we normally do.
October, I'm sorry. Yeah, so you're still going to do that, but this will have already been decided, the 2%. Okay.
Any other questions? Now, can we put that in, will a board member put that in the form of a motion to approve a 2% COLA for 2026?
That specifically? I
Yeah.
mean, that's what you want specifically?
That's
is
what-
to-
Or
Well,
do
I think we actually want to, it's a motion to amend all of it, however that falls, whatever Jill just said. We need the motion to amend, to make the
Is that
changes
what
that
we
Jill
need to
just
do,
stated.
Pete?
Yeah, you're amending the budget.
Budget.
Yeah, we're amending the
You're
budget.
amending the
what-
budget.
yeah,
This-
that was my understanding
By
we
virtue
needed to do.
of this specific reduction from 4% to 2%, it does amend the budget. So you're amending the budget to reflect this change and any other changes that comes with it.
Council, can you give us the form of motion you believe would be appropriate? So,
Ted suggested we write it out, and I said, oh, it'll be okay.
I think the motion would be to approve the amendment to the budget in order to incorporate the discussion on the employment payroll issues as it affects the other portions of the budget.
I think, if I might, I think it's important that the 2% be included, because that was a substance of
Yeah.
conversation and concern. So somewhere we have to have the 2%.
All right, so I think the motion should be, you are adopting a cost of living increase for employees of 2%, and the budget is changed accordingly.
It's fine with me if you think that'll fly, Tom?
I think so. I
Okay.
mean, that's pretty
Does that
much what
sound
we
right, you should-
talked about.
Say it again.
They are adopting a cost of living increase for library employees of 2%, and the budget is revised from their earlier approval,
Amended to reflect that.
amended to reflect that
Okay.
change, yeah.
Okay, are we clear as clear?
Who made the motion?
No
You
one
did,
yet.
Jim, and thank you. No, in all seriousness, would someone like to make the motion? Come on, folks,
So
we,
moved for the motion.
oh, Tom, thank you. And Jim, you want to do a second for Notre Dame's sake?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by nay? It's unanimous of those present. Okay, are there any other items of new business? Okay, how about public comment? would you like to, is there a micro? Yeah, come to the microphone, give us your name, please, and your residence, zip code.
Hello, my name is Avery. I live at 46805.
You could raise that up, Avery, so you don't have to bend down.
Is that good? Everyone
That's
hear me
for
all
you,
right?
not my height.
All right, I'd like to thank the board for hearing my comment today. I'll try to make it fast for everyone else giving comment after me. When the library announced patrons' 12 free hours of parking were to be slashed to just 3, it curiously said this was to prioritize free parking. But why does this proposed 3-hour limit exist? It's because ACPL and ABM don't want patrons parking in their lots. It's because each parked patron prevents another parked car which would pay from the very first hour. And so, library going is worsened in favor of maximizing paying customers, maximizing revenue, and maximizing nuisance to visitors. No one on earth wants to memorize their license plate number and give it every visit. No one here in your city wants to enter their credit card information to pay you $1. You are all here to run a library. Don't you want visitors? What makes this all worth it for you? A child reading a book or 80 more cents in your pocket? Your community depends on the library. You say it's fiscally responsible to take money out of my pocket and into yours. Recognize the nature of your jobs. It is fiscally irresponsible, but socially responsible, to store thousands of books to be freely read. This is because the library is not a commercial venture. It is a public good. Don't make it bad on purpose to make money. Can't we be a little friendly and make it better for those who need it most? Won't the happiness of helping warm your heart for days? Can't you favor the joy and the ease of your own neighbors over 80 measly cents? Or are you determined to leave the library worse than you found it? Let's keep people coming back for more. Thank you so much for hearing my comment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone, no one else physically? How about on the airwaves? Well, then we've concluded the public comment, and then I'll entertain a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Now, we do have an executive session, so we'll take a break of 5 minutes and then move on.